Good morning, dear students. Welcome to Web Designing class. This is Nandini HM from the Department of Information Technology. So in today's session, let's understand some of the basic concepts related to web designing. So here today we are covering only the basics of HTML. But before we begin the discussion, we must know about some of the basic terminologies related to web. So first, let's understand the basic terminologies related to web. So as we all know, internet is a global connection of networks, or we can say it as a network of networks, right? Here, many number of networks are interconnected, where systems connected to this network can share the resources. Resources may be anything, right? It may be data, it may be text, numerical value, images, videos, etc. So internet is nothing but a global interconnection of computers using either physical medium or unguided medium. It may be wireless media or a guided media. If wireless media has been used, example for wireless media is your electromagnetic waves. And most commonly used guided media is fiber optic cable. So we get a question, right? What is the difference between internet and web? As I said, internet is the physical connection of millions of networks. It is a network of network. Whereas web uses this internet for its existence. So web internet na use ಮಾಡಿ, it will share the resources. So the web consists of hypertext embedded on pages that are hosted on the websites. So it contains an embedded hypertext. You can see here, this is an example for website, right? Website is a collection of related web documents. Consider an example of KSOU website, right? You know that we have a website, right? KSOU. So as soon as you visit the KSOU website, you will get a home page. So every website will contain the index page or home page as the first page. Okay. And website is a collection of web documents. It contains number of web pages. Suppose if you consider KSOU website, it contains number of web pages which is related to admission, right? If we click on the admission link, it will open the admission related web page. If we click on the examination link, it will open the web page related to examination, etc. Right? So a website is a collection of related web pages. We can call it as web pages or web documents. So a web page is an individual web document. So in case of KSOU website, the whole website consists of number of web pages. The first page of the website is called as a home page, and individual pages, right? Whether it is related to admission, examination, etc. These each individual pages are called as web documents. So we got an idea about website. Now we have to understand how this web works, right? So it works based on the client server model. You can see here, it works based on the client server model. So client is a device or a system which requests for the data. So when you want to visit the KSOU website, you will use some browser. With the help of the browser, you'll go to search engine and you'll type KSOU, right? In that case, you are the client because you are requesting for the website with the help of the web browser. So actually, web browser acts as a client, right? So you're requesting particular server for a web page. So using this web browser, you are sending a request to the server. If the requested data is available in that particular server, it will respond to the client, or it will send the requested data to the client. If the requested data is not available in the server, it will send the error, report. Okay. So web works based on the client server model, where client requests for the data, whereas server based on the client request will respond to the client and send the data to the client. So this is the diagrammatic representation of client server model. Here the client is a web browser. Using the web browser, this particular device is sending requests to the server. So based on the client request, the server is responding to the client. So we got an idea about how this web works. Now we get a question: how does this machine gets identification in the large network, right? We have thousands of systems connected to a network. So how do we actually identify a particular device and send the request? So in order to send the request, or in order to uniquely identify a machine over a network, we have to use either IP address or domain names. So IP is nothing but Internet Protocol. So we have to use either IP address or domain names. Even each and every person has a unique address, right? We have Aadhaar card. So it is unique for individual person in a country, right? Likewise, the system which is connected to a network will have a unique IP address. So this is an example for Internet Protocol address. If we type in the address bar this IP address, it will connect you to the Google. But it is very difficult to remember the IP address, right? This IP address is in the form of octet, right? This is in the numerical form. So it is very difficult to remember this numerical address. So instead of this numerical address or an IP address, we can use a domain name. So you can either use google.com, or you can give this IP address to connect to the Google. So why do we use domain name? So domain name locates an organization or other entity on the internet. So in order to identify or to locate an organization or entity on the internet, we use domain name. So it divides the internet into logical groups and understandable names. And it associates unique computer IP addresses with the text-based domain names. So every domain name is associated with the unique IP address. As I said, you can see here, this IP address corresponds to this domain name. So this is google.com is a domain name, whereas this is the associated IP address for this Google. So like that, every domain name contains IP address. Since it is difficult to remember, we choose to use the domain names. So next terminology is URL. So URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So this is an address for uniquely identifying a web resource on the internet. So in order to identify a web resource on the internet, we have to use a URL address or URL. So the general format of the URL is scheme, then : 2 forward slashes, then server domain name, : port address. This is not mandatory. If you know the port, you can use. Otherwise, you can skip this port. And then path name. Again, this is not mandatory. If you know the actual path, then you can give the path name, or else you can only use scheme : 2 forward slash and then just the domain name. So we have different types of schemes. Usually we use Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP is the general purpose protocol. And then server domain name, it identifies the server on the network. For example, domain name for our website is ksou.mysuru.ac.in. So using that, we can access the website, right? So here, as I said, port is not mandatory. If we skip the port, it will take the default port value. So path name tells the server where to find the file. So I'll explain this path name with the example. You can see here, this URL contains only the scheme. Okay, here the scheme is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, then 2 colons, 2 forward slash, and this is the domain name, server domain name. Okay. So here I'm just giving this URL. So it will take you to the home page of this particular website. If we know the exact path, if you want to visit a particular web page at that time, you can give the path name. Consider this example where you can see this is scheme, this is server domain name. After that, this is the folder name. Okay. In the chapter 1 folder, there is a file called index.html. So if you want to access this particular web page, then you can give. For example, in the KSOU website, if you want to go to the examination port directly, so you'll enter the KSOU URL and then you'll put a / and then you'll give a path name, right? Examination.html. So it depends on the web page address. So next is the making of a good design. So in order to create a web page or a website, you need a content. Okay. So first you have to keep the content ready, but content alone will not make your website work. So you need a good design to display this content. So you have already have a content, but if you put it in a wrong way, it will not reach the users. So you have to put the data in an organized way. Okay. So a good website or a good web design should have a uniform look and feel, and it should be easy to use. Okay. And even it should be created in the user's point of view, not from the developer's point of view. So whenever you create a website, you have to keep in mind about the target person or the users. Okay, you should not develop a website based on your likes or dislikes. You should develop a website considering the users to whom you are designing. Based on them, you have to design a website. So in order to create a website, we need certain technologies and tools. First one is markup language. We have different markup languages such as hypertext markup language, dynamic hypertext markup language, we call it as EHTML, XML, that is extensible markup language, etc. And in order to design your sheets, your web pages, you require cascading style sheets. And in order to create a dynamic web pages, you need some scripting languages such as Perl, JavaScript, PHP, etc. And you need an editing and web creation software. We have different softwares for that, such as Notepad, FrontPage, CodeFusion, etc. So in today's discussion, we are only concentrating on basic tags related to HTML. And we are creating a HTML web document with the help of Notepad. So in today's discussion, what I am teaching or what I am discussing is only concerned with HTML. So HTML is a markup language derived from the standard generalized markup language. So we get a question, what is a markup language, right? So it is a computer language that uses tags to annotate the information in a document. You have a content, you want to put this content on the web page. So in order to annotate this content, you need certain tags. So this language contains all these tags. Using these tags, you can annotate the information. You can place the information in a web page. So we have tags for that. A tag is a syntactic element in a markup language that indicates how information should be displayed. As I said, we have a content, we want to display it on the screen or a web page. So in order to display the content in an organized way, we need tags. And tags are enclosed within the angle brackets. So this is the angle bracket. Within the angle bracket, we have to write the tag element. Okay. Consider an example where if you want to put a paragraph in the web page, at that time you have to use opening angle bracket, then tag element. In order to represent a paragraph, we have to use P tag element, and then you have to close the angle bracket. So this is a tag. So tags are often used in page with a start tag such as body and a corresponding end tag with a / before the element name. What it says is in tags we have two different types of tags. One is paired tag, another one is void tag, or even we call it as an empty tag. Okay, so there are two types of tags. The paired tag contains opening and closing tag. So in the opening tag, we use the angle bracket, we write the tag element and close the angle bracket, and then we'll put the content. Okay, for example, KSOU. This is the content, I want to put it in a paragraph tag. After opening paragraph tag, we have to close it. Again, in order to close it, we have to use an angle bracket, then / then P. Okay, so this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. This is called as a paired tag. In case of void tag, it does not contain any closing tag, but as soon as you write the tag, you will use the / to end it. So this is called as a empty tag or a void tag. Okay, after the tag element, it will contain a /. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a computer language used to create web pages, and HTML file is equal to a text file containing markup tags. So using a notepad, you can put all the tags and the content to annotate it in a web page. So this tags will tell the web browser how to display a page. And you can save this editor with an extension .htm or .html. So you'll give file name dot extension. You can use either HTML or HTML. So you'll get a question whether to use HTML or HTML, right? So you can use both. So it is perfectly safe to use either .html or HTML, but you have to be consistent while using both. So if we have given the name home.html and home.html, the browser will consider these two as different pages. Okay, that you have to keep it in the mind. So earlier browser used to support only 3 characters after the file name, but today's browser supports 4 characters. So it doesn't matter if you use HTML or HTML. Next concept is nested tags. So whenever you have a HTML tags within other HTML tags, that is called as nested tags. Okay, one tag containing, this is a paragraph tag, and then you are using bold tag and you're writing the text here, and then you're closing the bold tag, and then you are closing the paragraph tag. Okay. So here you can see there are two tags within each other, right? One tag containing another tag is called as nesting of tags. So first you have to close the nearest tag and then the previous one. Here you can see this diagram represents the structure of the HTML. Okay. So always the web document starts with the HTML tag and then the header tag, then body, then we have to close the HTML. So this is the structure of the HTML. So we have fundamental elements or a basic structure of HTML. You can see here, as I said, it begins with the HTML tag. After the HTML tag, we have to use the head tag. So within the head tag, we have to use title tag, and here you can see the text, right? So whatever we place in the title tag will be displayed in the title bar of your website or web page. So whatever you write here, for example, welcome to KSOU. So this will be displayed in the title bar of your web page. After writing the title, you have to close the title bar. You can see here / and then tag name. And then we have to close the head tag. After that, we have to open the body tag. So whatever you want to display in a web page, you have to place that in the body tag. Okay, so it contains the actual content of your web page. If you want to align your content, or if you want to put a table, etc., that you have to write within the body tag. After that, you have to close the HTML tag. So you have to maintain this sequence. So description of each tag. So we can use this doc type. This is not mandatory. We may or may not use the document tag. So this tag defines the document type and HTML version. For example, we have number of versions of HTML. In the doc type, we will specify which HTML version we are using. Okay. So as I said, every web document, HTML documents begins with the HTML tag, which comprises all the remaining tags of the HTML. And then head tag. This tag represents the document's header, so which can keep other HTML tags like titles, link, etc. So next is title tag. It is used inside the head tag to mention the document title. As I said, whatever you place within the title tag will be displayed in the title bar of your website. Next comes the body tag. So this tag represents the document's body, which keeps other HTML tags. It may be header tag, it may be paragraph tag, etc. As I said, we have different HTML versions like 4.01, HTML5, etc. So in the doc type, we can write HTML 4.01. If you are using HTML5 version, we can directly use HTML. No need to specify 5. We can directly use HTML. So this is an example where you can see a sample HTML document. Okay, here you can see the beginning of the HTML and then head. Within the head, I'm using title, right? And the title is my home page. You can see here, this is my home page. So whatever you have placed between the title tags is displayed in the title bar of your web page. And then we have to close the head. After that, is the body tag. So whatever you place within the body tag will be the actual content of the website. Here I have used the heading tag and I have placed on the welcome as the content. So this website content is welcome. So now let's discuss about some of the basic tags of HTML. So we have 6 basic tags starting from heading, paragraph, line break, centering content, then horizontal lines, and then last one is preserve formatting. So let's discuss them one by one. So first basic tag is heading tag. As we all know, any document contains a heading, right? So when we write a heading, it should be in a bold format, right? It should catch the audience first. So you can use different sizes for your headings. In HTML, we have 6 different heading styles starting from H1 to H6. You can see here, H1, when we use the heading H1, it will display the content or it will display whatever you have placed between the heading tag in a bold format. So H1 being the highest, whereas H6 is the least. So all the content placed within the heading tag will be in the bold format, only they differ in their sizes. Again, heading tag is a paid tag which contains an opening and a closing tag. So you can see here I have used 6 different headings in a document. So how it will be displayed in the web page, you can see here this is the result obtained for H1 heading, and this is for H2 and this is for H6. All the texts are in the bold format, only they differ in the sizes. So we can use 6 different headers in order to write a heading for a web page. Next basic tag is a paragraph tag. So we use P for a paragraph tags. Again, this is a paid tag, so it will contain opening and closing tag. So if you want to put the content in the form of paragraph in a web page, we have to place that content. Okay, we have to place that content within the paragraph tag. So for example, here you will describe something. For example, Karnataka State Open University Mukta Gangotri. Okay, so this is the paragraph I want to put it between the paragraph tags. So this will be in the form of paragraphs in the web page. So this is an example. You can see here within the body of the web page or the editor, you can see I have placed 3 different paragraphs. Okay, in the first paragraph I have written some text, and in the second paragraph I have written some text. So in the web document there will be 3 different paragraphs. And what is the title of this web page? This is paragraph example. So in the title bar you can see it as a paragraph example. Next basic tag is a break tag. So this tag is a empty tag or a void tag. So it does not contain opening and closing tag. You can see here, if you are using a void tag, as I said, after the tag element, you have to use a forward slash. So this tag is an example of an empty element where you do not need opening and closing tags, as there is nothing to go in between them. So here we are not organizing any data or not changing any data. We are just using break tag in order to break the sentences. Okay. Whenever you use the break tag, it will take the cursor to the next line. That means it will make the content start from the next line. It will break the line there itself and takes the content to the next line. Suppose if you have written some content within the paragraph tag. Okay. Here you want this line to appear from the next line. At that time, what you will do, you will use BR here. So in the website, how it will appear from this two tags will be in one paragraph, and this as starts from the next line. So break will make the content to appear from the next line. So this is an example for break tag, where you can see within the body there is a paragraph, right? P. If you won't use this BR, okay, how this will display it in the website? It will be in the continuous format. Hello, you delivered your assignment on time. Okay. So it will be in a single line. But I don't want it to appear in a single line. That's why I have used break. So wherever I want my text to appear from the next line, I have used the break. So how it will be displayed in the web page? First, hello will be placed, and then you delivered, and then thanks. Okay. If we won't use this breaks, it will be in a single line format. Next basic tag is centering content. So this tag is used to put any content in the center of the page or any table. Okay. So you can see here, I want to, by default, all the content will be in the left justified format. So if we use center, this particular paragraph will appear in the center of your web page. Okay. So if this is the web page, usually how the paragraph starts, it starts from the left side, right? This text stays like that. So if we use center, the content will be in the middle of your web page. Next tag is horizontal lines. Again, this is a empty tag. Empty tag. Okay. So we use this tag in order to create a line. Okay. In order to create a line, we use HR tag. You can use HR directly or as HR. So it depends on the browser. Some browsers supports only HR, but in some browsers you have to use / after the tag element. So this is an example for horizontal line, where after this paragraph I have used a HR. So soon after displaying this content, it will draw a line. Okay, it will show a line in the web page. Next tag is preserve formatting. As I said, in some cases, we want a particular format to appear on the screen. Usually what happens if I use paragraph, it has its own styling, right? If you use a heading, again, it has its own styling. But in some cases, where if I am writing some program, at that time, I want to preserve a format, right? At that time, we have to use PR. So it preserves the format you have written in the editor. So whatever or however you have written the content on the editor, the same will be displayed in the web page. So for that example, you can see here, I have used the preserve formatting tag. So if I have used paragraph tag, how it will be displayed in the web page in a continuous line, right? But I want this particular format. Here I am writing some program, if condition, then flower bracket, and then some statements, and then I'm closing the if. Okay, so I want this particular format to appear on the web page. At that time, I have to use preserve formatting. So it will be same as that I have written in the editor. So in this example, you can see I have given the title as skill development. So if you run this, you'll get skill development in the title bar. And then I have used three headings, H1, H2, and H3. So in the H1, I have written welcome to web designing class. Okay, this is the first header. So this will be in the highest size. And next is the header 2, that is MSc Information Technology. Next heading is eligibility criteria. So these three are the headings. After that, I'm using a paragraph to write the eligibility. So these are some of the eligibility criteria to get admission for the MSc Information Technology. So how this will appear on the web page? So this I have written in the editor, that is in the notepad. So after writing all this, I have to save this with the extension .html. For example, if I want to use or I want to give a sample as the notepad name, then I have to save it as sample.html. So how it will get saved? It will be in the form of your browser icon. Okay, the .html and the save ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅದು ಬ್ರೌಸರ್ ಐಕಾನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಬ್ರೌಸರ್ ಯಾವುದು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದರದ್ದು ಐಕಾನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಅ ವೆಬ್ ಪೇಜ್. So after saving .html, when I open it in a browser, you can see here in the title bar, I have got skill development. And then this is the heading 1, welcome to web designing class. And this is the header 2 that I have placed. And next is the eligibility criteria. So this is the paragraph that I have written. You can see here, I have not used any break. I have just written certain text. Even though the text is in the next line in your editor, but in the web page, it is in the continuous form, right? In order to avoid this, we have to use breaks in between. So you can see here I have given break. After first eligibility criteria, I have given break. And then second eligibility criteria, I have given break. And then the final one, right? So how this will appear in your web page, you can see here. So wherever I have placed the break tag, it has taken that content to the next line. Okay. Even you can see here, after the first header, I have used this HR. This is horizontal tag. So you can see here, there is a horizontal line after the header 1. Again, if you want one more horizontal line after the header 2, you can place here, okay, HR. So wherever you require a line, you can use this HR. So this completes the basic HTML tags. Next type is attributes. So most of the HTML tags can also have attributes, which are extra bits of information. So an attribute is used to define the characteristics of an HTML element and is placed inside the element's opening tag. So you have to keep that in mind. So it defines the characteristics of the HTML element, and we have to place the attributes in the opening tag of your HTML. So it contains two different parts. One is name, attribute name, and attribute value. Okay. Consider an example where I have written paragraph tag. I want to align this paragraph to the center of the page. At that time, what I have to use? P align is equal to center. Okay. So this is the paragraph opening tag. After that, I'll write the content. Okay. And then I'll close the paragraph tag. So as I said, this contains a name and a value attribute. Okay. So this is the name of the attribute and this is the value. So here for the align, we have three different values. It may be left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned. So if you want the content to be left aligned, we have to give align is equal to left. If we want our content to be center aligned, we have to give align is equal to center. And if we want our content to be right aligned, we have to give align is equal to right. So this is an example. You can see here the title of this web page is align attribute example, and I have aligned the paragraph using this align attribute. This is the name and this is the value. So how it will be displayed in the web page? This particular text will be left aligned, this text will be center aligned, whereas this text will be right aligned. So suppose if this is your web page, one text, that is first text, will be left aligned and second one will be in the center and the third one will be towards right. Okay, like this the content will appear on the web page. So attribute value should always be enclosed in the quotes. So you have written the name and the value should always be enclosed within the quotes. Double style quotes are the most common, but single style quotes are also allowed. So when does the single style quotes are allowed? In some rare situations, like when the attribute value itself contain quotes, at that time single quotes are allowed. Next topic is text formatting. Okay. So text formatting indicates how text can appear in the document or in a web page. So if you use a word processor, you must be familiar with the ability to make the text bold, italicized or underlined, etc. We have different options in a word processor, right? In order to make the text bold, we will click the B icon, right? That bold icon. In order to italicize, we will click the small I icon. In order to underline, we have a small button U underline. So if we select the text and we click the button, it will format the text or it will manipulate the text accordingly. But in case of HTML, in order to manipulate the text, we have to use tags. Okay. So we have different tags for bold, italicized, underline, etc. So let's learn them one by one. So first type of text formatting is bold. So in order to make the text bold, we have to use B tag. So you can see here, this is the B tag. So whatever you place in between the opening and closing of the bold tag, that text will appear in the bold format. Okay. So you can see here, I have written a paragraph using the paragraph tag. The following word uses a bold typeface. But I want to make only this text bold. So I'll place the text between the opening and closing tag. Okay. Next type of text formatting tag is italic tag. For that, we have to use I. Okay, this is also a paid tag, so it contains opening and closing tag. So whatever is written in between this tag will be in the italicized form. Okay, you can see here in between the paragraph tag, I have italicized only this portion. So this text will be in the different format when compared to this one. This will be in the slant format, italicized format. The third one is underline text. So if you want a text to be underlined, you have to use U tag. Okay. So you can see here, paragraph, the following word uses a underlined typeface. So how it will appear? Only this text will be underlined. Suppose if you want the entire paragraph to be underlined, what you have to do? Soon after the paragraph tag, you have to use underline and then the text. Okay, the following. Then close the underline tag and then close the paragraph tag. Okay. Next is strike text. If you want to strike through some text, you have to use this strike tag. Okay. Here you can consider the following word uses a strike through type. So how this will appear in the web page? The following word uses and then strike through. So it will be like this. Okay, there will be a line. So where you might have come across this type of text, you might have seen in websites, right? For example, the actual price of the product is 1,000. Now it is only available for 500, right? So we can use this type of tags to strike off the or strike through the data, right? Now it's only available for 500 like that. If you want to display, you can use this strike through. Next is monospaced font. So most of the fonts are known as variable width fonts because different letters are of different widths, right? Suppose if I write A, it will occupy different space, and if you write M, it occupies different space, right? But in some cases, I want a monospaced font, that is uniformity in font sizes. For that, I have to use TT, okay, double T, and then write the content and then close the TT. So all the text which appear within this will be uniformly spaced, that is monospaced. You can see this element here, M has occupied a larger space when compared to the remaining elements, and this has occupied a lesser space. When you have used this monospace tag, it will consume uniform space. So this is an example for mono-spaced tag. So you can see here I have written the following word uses a monospace tag. So this text will be in the different format. Next is superscript. So we use SUP to make the text superscript text. So the element is written in the superscript format. The font size used is the same size as the character surrounding it, but it will display half a character's height above the other character. So how it will appear? If I want a square, okay, at that time what I'll do, I'll write P, A, and then superscript 2, and then I close this superscript, and then I will close the paragraph. So how it will appear in the web page? It will be in the form of A square. Okay. Again, subscript is base. If you want some text to appear in the base, we have to use the subscript. For that, we have to use SUB tag. Next type of text formatting tag is inserted text and deleted text. So for that we use INS. Okay. So inserted text we use INS. For deleted text we use DEL. So you can see here, this is the deleted text and this is the inserted text. You can see the difference, whereas the inserted text contains an underline and deleted text contains a strike off. Next is large text. So for larger text, we have to use big, BIG. Okay, this is the tag element. Again, this is the pair tag. So it will make your text one font size larger than the rest of the text surrounding it. So it will highlight your text with the with one size larger than the remaining text. So here you can see the following word uses A. After that, I have used this larger text tag, and then I have closed it. Then I have continued with the remaining text. Here, this will be in a particular format where this will be one size larger than these texts. Again, smaller text, it will make one font size smaller than the rest of the surrounding text. For that, we have to use a small tag. Again, this is a pay tag, so it contains both the opening and closing tag. So this is an example for text formatting tags. Here I have used all the tags that we have discussed now. You can see here I have used bold tag to make this text bold. And then I have used italicized tag to italicize the text. This is underline. So I have used U tag to underline this particular text. And I have used strike through to strike off this text. And I have used monospaced here in order to give a uniform space for each character in a text. And then I have used superscript, subscript, and then delete and insert big and small. So let us see how this will appear in a web page. So you can see here, this is the title of this web page. So where I have used B tag to bold the text, it is in the bold format. You can notice here, this is the italicized text where I have used I tag, right? And this is underlined, right? Strike through, you can see here. And you can make out the difference. This is the monospaced text, right? When compared to the remaining text, this monospaced text has occupied a uniform space, right? There is no difference between the space occupied by M, O and the rest of this text. And this you can see here, this is the superscript. It comes as a power and this is a subscript. So it is in the base format. And this is insert and delete. So this text is deleted and this is underlined. Then this is the big and the small. So this is the text formatting tags which is used to manipulate the content of the document. So next is aligning the text. So as I said, in order to align, we have to use a attribute and then value. This we have already discussed. We have 3 different values for align: left, right and center. Next is changing the font. So in order to change the font, in the word processor, we have different styles, right? Times New Roman, Algeria, etc. And we have different sizes like starting from 8, 10, 12, right? And even we can change the font color. Likewise, here also we can change the font style, font size, font color, etc. But for all that, we have to use a font changing tags. Here you can see instead of style, we use font face in HTML. So this is the tag name and this is the attribute name. So attribute name is equal to, we have to give the value, right? So we have to enclose the value within the double quotes. For example, if I want font face as Times New Roman, I have to specify it. And then I have to close the tag element. Only in the opening element, I can place the attribute name and value. In HTML, we have 7 different sizes starting from 1 to 7. Okay. So font size 1 will display your font in particular size and font 7 will display your font in a particular size. If you want other sizes or different sizes other than 1 to 7, you can go for relative font size. Okay. So in order to specify a relative font size, you can use plus or minus symbol. Okay. So you can see in this example, if you use -1, it will be in a smaller size. If you use plus, it will increase the size of a font. Oh, you have to trial different sizes and view the web page. So you have to see which font size suits that particular content in the web page. So you can change the font color using the attribute name color. This is the attribute name. And this is the attribute value. So in order to change the font color, you have to write font color is equal to the color you want. Okay. And then write the text, close the font tag. So we have different types of representation, color representation, whether it is RGB format, hexadecimal format, or a character format. So we have different representation that we will discuss later in today's session. So these attributes can be combined to change the font, size, and color of the text all at once. Okay. So within a single font tag, you can specify the size, you can specify the face. Face is nothing but style, and then color. Okay. Example of font face. You can see here we have different font styles. For that, we have to write font, then face is equal to Times New Roman, and I'm specifying size 5, and then I'm placing the actual content, and then I'm closing the font tag. In order to set the font color, we have to use font color is equal to, so this is the hexadecimal representation of color. Hexadecimal representation of color. Okay. So you'll get different hexadecimal representation in Google. So while creating a website, you can go through the chart and you can select the color which suits your web page. Next is the base font element. The base font element is supposed to set a default font size, color, and typeface for any parts of the document. So once we set the base font, it will be applicable to the text in the entire document. Okay. So you can use the font elements to override the base font settings. You have already set the base font for the entire document, but in a particular region or a particular area, you want to alter the font style. At that time, you can use the font tag and alter the style. So this base font can be overridden by this font. Okay. This is an example of base font where you can see in the beginning of the body, I have used or I have set the base font. Face is equal to Arial, and then size is equal to 2, and I have specified the color. So all the text will be in this format except where I have used this font. So here I am specifying this particular text should be in the size 2 and color dark gray. So this font overrides the base font. Next is comment statements. So like in any other programming languages, in HTML also we have comment statements. Comment statements are notes in the HTML code that explain the important features of the code. And these comments do not appear on the web page. Okay. So why do we use comments? In order to describe the tags or in order to tell about the content which is present in the web page. So it is only for the help of the developers or the programmers who are writing or who are developing the code. Suppose if you are working for a company, you have created a web page. After a particular period of time, you will quit that job, right? And someone will come and occupies that space. When he opens that web page, Within a single glance, you will not be able to understand. But when you have written certain comment, why you have used particular tag or what you have done, it will make him understand that coding part. Okay, so this comment will help the developer or the programmer to understand what someone has done. Or after some times you might forget what you have written, right? So it will help you to understand the command, or it will describe the why you have written particular web page. Okay. So in order to write a comment, we have to use angle bracket, exclamatory mark, and two hyphens. After that, you'll write some comment, and then you have to close this. Okay. So whatever you have written within the comment will not appear on your web page. So if you miss a single hyphen or single colon, it will consider it as a normal text. Okay. So that is called as an invalid comment. So this is an example for comment. You can see here, I have not followed the particular format. So this is not a valid comment. So it will appear in the web page. If you have not followed the procedure properly, the comment will appear in the web page. Next is HTML character entities. Some characters have a special meaning in HTML, like the less than symbol. For example, we use this less than symbol to open the angle bracket, right? I mean, your tag elements. So the browser will get confused in some cases if we use A greater than B. Okay, in order to avoid such situation, we have to use character entities. So if we want the browser to actually display these characters, we must insert a character entities in place of the actual character themselves. So instead of writing this actual character, I will replace this symbol with the character entity. So this character entity is case sensitive. HTML tags are not case sensitive, but entities are case sensitive. While opening the HTML tag, you can use a lowercase, and while closing, you can use the uppercase letter. It will not bifurcate between this one and this one. So this is not a case sensitive language, but entities are case sensitive. A character entity has three different parts. One is ampersand, so it begins with the ampersand, then the entity name, and then finally a semicolon. You can see here there are different entity names, right? Either you can use a name or a number. So both will display the same data in your web page. If you want to give more than one space, at that time you have to use this entity. Okay, suppose A, after that you have given 3 spaces and written B, but you have written this in a paragraph. When you how it will display in the web page, it will omit the remaining 2 spaces and it will display like this. Okay, so in order to avoid such cases, we have to use non-breaking space. For that, what I have to do, A ampersand NBSP, so it will give 1 space, and then ampersand NBSP. So 2 spaces will be given and then B will be displayed. So if you want to display less than symbol, you have to use ampersand LT semicolon. If you want to display greater than symbol, you have to use ampersand GT. So like that, we have n number of entities. Okay. So this is a simple example for non-breaking space, where you can see here I have written some text in the paragraph. So how it will be displayed in the web page? It skips all the spaces. If I want space, I have to use entity, right? Here I have given 3 spaces. You can see. Next tag is marquee tags. An HTML marquee is a scrolling piece of text. You might have seen in many websites that breaking news will come. No, it will be in the moving format. Either it will move from left to right, or right to left, top to down, or bottom to up. It differs from website to website. But they will give the flash news in the form of marquee text. It is a running text. For that, we have to use marquee tag. So whatever we have written between the opening and closing of marquee tags will be in the moving format. Okay. So we have different attributes. We can specify the width, height, direction. As I said, there are 4 different directions. So we can give the direction. Scroll delay we can specify. This specifies how long to delay between each jump, and then scroll amount, how many times it has to get repeated. We can give the color to it, and horizontal space, vertical space, etc. So all these are the attributes. You have to use the marquee tag and this attribute, and you have to check each attribute. Okay. So this is a simple example of marquee text where I have specified only the direction. Okay, so the text will be moving from bottom to up. So it will move from bottom to up direction. So here I have given the width of the text. So it will occupy only 50% of your web page in order to show the movement of the marquee text. Next, we have got an idea about the basic elements, then text formatting elements. Now I want to insert an image into the website or a web page. In order to insert the image into the website, we have to use img tag, img space src. So this is source, okay, image source. And then within the double quotes, we have to give the full address of the image. Suppose in E Drive, if you have stored in a folder called images, and then image name is flower, okay, dot extension, okay. So you have to copy this entire address and you have to paste it here, okay. So whenever you place this full entire address, it will display that particular image in the web page. You can give the width and height of the images, and even you can set the border for a particular image. So you can see here, this is the attribute name, so src, and the value is URL, that is path of your image. And you can specify the width in the pixels, height in the form of pixels, and you can align top, bottom, middle, left and right of your web page. And we have one more attribute called alternative attribute. Suppose if some browsers does not support the image that you have placed, at that time you want to give an alternative text, right? So you have used image src and you have given some image URL. Suppose if the browser does not support this image, what you want to display there? Alternative text. So you have used some flower image. So alternative text will be flowers in China. So if you have used some building image, for example, KSOU administrative block image, the alternative text, if the browser does not support this image and it couldn't display this particular image, at that time, whatever you have written in the alternate text, for example, KSOU building, this text will be displayed in the web page. So we use this alternate attribute in order to describe about a particular image. Okay, so it will be an option for the browser. Next is if you want to set an image border, you can use after this attribute and value, you have given the alternate text and you are setting the border. So this is the attribute name and this is the value. So you can see here all the attribute values I have encoded in the double quotes, right? This particular image tag contains three different attributes. One is source, another one is alternate, and another one is border. So all the three values are enclosed within the double quotes. So this is the URL of the image. This is the alternative text to be displayed if this image is not displayed on the web page. And this is the border size. So again, the thickness depends on the developer. So if the developer wants the border image to be 1, you will write 1. So you have to see on the web page how this border is appears on the image. Based on that, you can change the thickness of the border. Next concept is lists. So there are three types of list formats. So in word processor, this list will be in the form of bullets, right? This is bullets and then numbering, right? So in order to give or in order to use this particular format in the web page, we have to use lists. So we have three types of list: ordered list, unordered list, and definition list. An ordered list is same as numbered list in your word processor, and unordered list is same as bulleted list in your word processor. But in definition list, there will be a term and its description. Okay. So this is the unordered list, and the tag to write the unordered list is UL. Okay, it starts from the UL. This is the opening tag. After that, we have to write the list elements, LI. Here I am listing the programs offered by KSOU. Okay, so BA, and then I'll close this, and then list BCom. Okay, I'll close this list, and then BSc IT. Okay, and then I'll close this list, and then I have to finally close the unordered list. So how this will appear in the website? Since this is an unordered list, all the lists will be in the bulleted format. So first is BA, and the second one is BCom, and third one is BSc IT. Like this, it will appear on the web page. Next type of list is ordered list. As I said, it uses the numbering format. For that, the element is OL. OL stands for ordered list. And LI, again, I use the same list, BA, and then BCom. Okay. And then third one is BSc IT. And then I'll close the ordered list. So how it will appear? 1 BA, 2 BCom, and third one BSc IT. So unordered list is in the bullet format, ordered list in the numbering format. And the third one is definition list. It contains three elements. One is DL, DT, and DD. This is definition list, this is definition term, and this is definition description. So you can see here, it starts with the DL, okay, and then definition term, which you want to describe, that you have to write here. For example, I'll write KSOU here, and then I'll close DT. And then how do you describe or expansion of this one? I'll write here, Karnataka State Open University. Okay, and I'll close this DD. And next term I want to describe is IT. Okay, and I'll close this DT, and then I'll describe information technology. Okay, and then I'll close this GD. Finally, I have to close the DL. So how it will appear on the website? It will be like this, okay? KSOU and its description, Karnataka State Open University, and then IT, its full form, Information Technology, okay? Next tag is table tag. So in order to create a table in the web page, or in order to display a table in the web page, we have to use a table tag. And table tag is associated with table row and table data and table heading. Okay, these three are the important elements which are associated with the table element. Here you can see there is no column. Okay, only we are using table row, table data, and table header. Why? Because the number of data elements in a row indicates the column, right? This is a row. I have three datas, right? So these three data indicates three columns, right? So here in HTML, we don't have column tag. This data indicates number of columns in a table. The general syntax to create a table is, first you have to use a table tag, and then you have to create a table row. Within the table row, here I am placing two data. So there are totally two columns, right? Table data 1, data 2. And then you have to close that first row. So this will create a first row of a table with data first cell and second cell. After that, again I have to use a row, right? It creates a row, and then I'm placing third and fourth element. So this is a table with two rows and two columns. If you want to create a heading for a table, you have to use TH. Okay, we can create headings either horizontally or vertically, right? For example, name, age. So this is the heading of this particular table. Sometimes even we create headings here, right? In the row. So we can use TH either in the row form or in the data form. Here you can see I have created a table header for each column, right? For that, what I have to do, first within the first row, I have created a table row, and I have to use TH tag, and then I have to place the content. Instead of TD, I have used TH for the first row. That's why all the contents are in the bold format. Suppose if I wanted this to be as a header, what I have to do, I have to create a table row, okay, then table heading, first heading is group, then close TH, okay. Then you have to write the table data, runner, and then close this table data, and then close first row. Again in the second row, I have to make men as the header, okay. So for each row, if I want to make it as a header, soon after the row creation, we have to use TH. Next, we have to give a caption to a table, right? That is table heading, or we call it as table title. So in HTML, we call it as a caption. For that, we have to use a caption tag. So we can align the caption using the align attribute. We can align the caption either left, right, bottom, or top. So these values, that is left, right, top, down, is only supported by the IE. Netscape supports top and bottom. You can see here, I have used the caption soon after the table tag. Caption align is equal to top, and I have given bold and raised results. So you can see here, this is the caption of this particular table. Even you can modify the appearance of a table, how the border looks, background color of the table, grid lines, etc. So we start altering the table by setting the border of the table. In order to set the border for a table, soon after the table tag, table element, you have to use attribute name border and you have to give a value. For example, border is equal to 3. You have to give a numeric value. See here, if I have not specified anything, or if I have set the border is equal to 0, this is a table with no border, and this is the table with border 1 pixel, and this is the table with the border 5 pixel. You can see the thickness here, and this is the table with the border 10 pixels. For that, what you have to do, soon after the table opening of the table tag, you have to set border is equal to pixels, you have to specify. Okay, and then you have to start with your table row, table data, etc. And even you can control this cell spacing of the table. For that, you have to use a attribute cell spacing, and you can specify the value for that. And even you can place the cell padding. What is the difference between cell spacing and cell padding? In cell spacing, attribute controls the amount of space inserted between the table cells. Okay, if this is one cell, this is one cell. So this cell spacing controls the amount of space inserted between the table cells. So for this particular cell and this particular cell, it will give the spacing. Whereas cell padding adds the space between your data and its border. Okay. So you can see the difference here. This is cell spacing and this is cell padding. So you can see here, when I have given the cell spacing option, attribute and value, it adds the space between the cell. This is cell 1 and this is cell 2. So when you increase the value of the cell spacing, it creates a space between the cells. You can see here there is a space. But when you give value for cell padding, it will pad the space between the element and this cell border. You can see here. So this is the cell pad. Spanning rows and columns. Spanning is nothing but the merge option in your MS Word. So you will merge rows and columns, right? Likewise, in order to merge the rows and columns in the HTML, you have to use the spanning tag. Okay. In the spanning tag, we have row span and column span. So if you want to merge the row, you have to use row span. And you have to specify the value, how many rows you want to merge, whether you want to merge 2 rows, 3 rows, that you have to specify here. If you want to merge the column, you have to use column span. Again, here also you have to give values, whether you want to merge 2 columns or 3 columns, etc. So this is an example. You can see here, row span is equal to 3. It means it is merging 3 columns. Suppose if I have given table row is tr column span is equal to 3, it means it will merges 3 rows. Okay. Here TD indicates columns and TR indicates rows. So whenever I have used row span within the TD, it will merge the columns. So here 3 columns are merged. If I write in the TR, it will merges the columns. Next, if you want to apply background color, at that time, what if we have to use BG color? So this is the attribute name. and this is the color. So we can give a single color to the entire table, or else we can give a particular row a different color and particular cell a different color. Okay, it depends. Here you can see I have given yellow color to a first row, and then I have given blue color to this particular merge cell and green color to this particular cell. So using BG color, we can give the background color to either entire table or a cell or a row. And even we can set the border color. Background color is different from border color, right? Background color fills the cell part, right? Whereas background fills the color or gives the color to your border. In order to set a border color for a table, within the opening of the table tag, you have to give space and use border color is equal to, within the double quote, specify color. So this is the attribute name and this is the value. So you can give any color here. Next concept is hyperlink. So hyperlinks are references in a HTML file that allow user to connect to a different URL. So you are in a home page and there are different hyperlinks. When you click on a hyperlink, it will redirect you to other pages, right? Suppose in the case for your website, you have admission page, and if it is in hyperlinked or in a hypertext, at that time what you'll do, when you click this link, it will redirect you to the admission page, right, where you can enter the details, okay, and you can get online admission. So hyperlink is used to connect to different URL or a different page. So this is the tag which is used to create a hyperlink. It starts with K, A space href is equal to URL. Okay. So this URL is nothing but the address of the web page. Suppose if you have created admission page, right? Examination page, then faculty list page. Okay, so we have 3 different web pages and each web pages will have its URL, right? When you create a hyperlink in a home page, this is the home page, and here I have admission, examination and faculty, right? This is the text. When I click this admission text, it has to take me to this admission page, right? For that, I have to enter the URL of this admission page, and then I have to write the text admission link here, and then I have to close the A. Suppose if I want another text with the hyperlink, I have to write A href is equal to URL of that particular page, and then I have to write the text, and then I have to close this. Okay. So this is an example to create a hyperlink. You can see here I have used ahref is equal to URL address, okay, www.tutorialspoint.com. After that, I have given tutorials point, I have closed this one. So when you click this tutorials point in the web page, it will redirect or it will take you to this web page, okay. So this is an example where you can see I have created a hyperlink here. So when I click computer science in this particular web page, it will take me to this URL. Okay, I have given particular URL address, right? So whenever I click here, it will take me to this web page. Next attribute is the target attribute. We have used target attribute in our previous example as well. So this attribute is used to specify the location where linked document is opened. Following are the possible options: blank, self, or in the parent document itself, or in the top of the document, or in the target frame. So we can give different options for opening a new web page. When we click the hyperlink, it will take us to the new page, right? So whether we want that page in a separate window or within the same frame or in the parent frame, that we can specify using this attribute. So this is an example for that, where I have given the target first one blank, and the second one self, and the third one parent. So in order to see how it appears, you have to try this example. Okay, just try this one and check how it opens in a new window. When you click the hyperlink, how it opens in a self and how it opens in the parent window. When you see it practically, you'll come to know how these are different from each other. Next option is setting link colors. So you might have seen in the Google, when you have clicked particular, for example, KSOU website or some other websites, for the first time, if you are opening it, it will be in the blue color. So when you have visited that particular link, it will change the color from blue to slight violet, right? So you can give this, you can set this colors for the link. Okay, active link, visited link, for that you can set the different colors. So in order to set colors for your link, you have to use link. A is active link, B is visited link. You can see in this example, for active link, I have given some color. So this is an hexadecimal representation of color. So you can give blue directly here. And for link, I have given some other color, and visited link, I have given different color. Likewise, you can give different colors, and you can check it. As soon as you visit the link, how the color changes, all that you can check. So till now, we were discussing about how to create a link for a text, right? When you click computer science, this is an hyperlink. When you click this, it will take you to some other page, or it will redirect you to some other web page. Suppose if I want to give an image link, instead of this text, I have to place an image. So when you click on that particular image, it will take you to some other web page. Okay, here you are giving link to the image. For that, what you have to do, same link, same tag only, href, and then URL of the web page. Instead of writing the text, you are using an image here, right? If you want to give a link to a text, what you'll do, you'll write href is equal to URL, right? Then here you'll write the text. While clicking this text, it will take you to this URL, right? Here text. And then you'll close the A tag. In order to create link to an image, what you have to do, href is equal to URL. This is the URL of the web page. Here, instead of the text, what you have to do, you have to place an image. For that, image tag, image src is equal to path of the image, and then you have to close the image and then close the A tag. So whenever you click this image, it will take you to some other web page. You have to practice this, then only you'll experience how actually this works. Also, this is another example of giving a link to your image. Next is HTML colors. There are different representation of colors. As I said, we have hexadecimal representation, we have character RGB representation. So let's discuss them one by one. So as I said, we can give or we can set different colors to background color. We can give, we can set color to the text, and even we can set colors to active link, visited link, and the linked text, etc. Right? So there are different color coding methods. That is, one is color names, another one is hexadecimal code, and another one is decimal representation. If we use color names, we can directly give the name of the colors like green, blue, red, etc. If we are using an hexadecimal code, it is a 6-digit code representing the amount of red, green, and blue, right? We all know that colors will be in the RGB format. So colors, all the colors are made up of different ratios of RGB, right? And we can also represent color in the decimal format using the RGB property. So this is a different representation. As I said, using color names, we can represent different colors. And in case of hexadecimal codes, it contains totally 6 digits. So first 2 digits indicates the ratio of R, second 2 digits indicate the ratio of green, and the third 2 digits indicate the ratios of blue. Here each hexadecimal code will be preceded by a hash symbol. So as soon as you see any color with the hash symbol, it indicates that this is a hexadecimal representation of that color. Here for black, all the colors are 0, right? R 0, G 0, and B 0. Here in the red representation, you can see R is FF, whereas GB is 0, 0. Okay. For that, there are different representation for different colors. You will get all this in the w3schools.com. You can visit that website. There are different hexadecimal codes for colors, or else in Google you can directly give hexadecimal code representation of colors. This is RGB values. The color value is specified using the RGB property. So this property takes 3 values, one each for red, green, and blue. The value can be an integer between 0 and 255 or a percentage. So all the browser does not support the RGB property of the color. So it is recommended not to use this one. Okay. Usually programmers will use the hexadecimal format. So this is an example of using the RGB values. We have browser safe colors. 216 different color formats are there, starting from zeros to F. So totally 256 colors are there. If you want to use black, you can give all the 6 as zeros. So you can see here there are different values to represent different colors. Next is HTML background with the colors. So we have seen how to set the background color for a table, right? We can give a background color for the entire document. And so in order to give a background color for the entire document, what we have to do, while opening the body element, after the body name or body element, we have to give a space, and then we have to write BG color. BG color is background color. Okay, background color is equal to color name. We can use name, hexadecimal representation, or RGB format. As I said, all the browser does not support RGB format, so skip using this one. Use either hexadecimal format or color names. Okay, so when I set body background color is equal to red, the entire web page will be in the red color. So this is an example where I have used hexadecimal representation to set the color for the web page. Even I can give or I can set the background with different images. Okay. So in order to set a background with the image, what I have to do is I have to give the entire path of the image. Background is equal to, instead of color, I have to give the image URL. Okay. So if I want to set entire web page background in images, at that time, body space background is equal to image URL. If I want to give background to table, what I'll do? Table space background is equal to, I'll give the URL of the image. Okay. And this is an example where I have set a background image for a table. You can see here, table space background is equal to images. This is the path of the image, or you can call it as a URL of the image. Even I have specified the width and height for that image. So it is 100%. You can give the width and height according to your need. Okay. So this covers the basics of the HTML. I will show you one example how to create a simple web page using the basic HTML tags. So I'll close this presentation and I'll display the entire screen so that you can practice creating a simple web page. Okay, I'll stop presenting now. I'll show you how to create a web page. For that, what you have to do is you have to open a notepad. Okay, so right click on the desktop and then go to new and then select the text document and then open the text document. And what you have to do is, after typing the tags and content, you have to go to file, then save as, then you have to write .html, file name .html, and you have to select all files and you have to save it. So in the screen, you will get a default browser icon. You have to open it and then you can see the web page, right? So this is how you create a web page. That's it for today's session. Thank you.